we're going to make Chicago really great again, and we're going to stop this crime.
The White House is in a showdown with Chicago's Democratic leaders after President Trump mobilized 300 National Guard troops to the city to deal with what he says is out-of-control crime in the blue stronghold. On Monday, the state of Illinois filed a lawsuit to block the deployment of U.S. troops to Chicago, and the judge gave the Trump administration 2 days to respond. Later that day, Trump made clear he wasn't going to back down and threatened to use the Insurrection Act if he didn't get the necessary cooperation from local politicians and the courts.
Insurrection Act, under what conditions or terms would you?
Well, I'd do it if it was necessary. So far, it hasn't been necessary, but we have an Insurrection Act for a reason.
The Insurrection Act authorizes the president to deploy military forces inside the U.S. to suppress rebellion or domestic violence or to enforce the law in certain situations. It's one of the most extreme emergency powers available to a U.S. president. So how did we get here? Here's what you need to know. President Trump's plan to deploy troops in Chicago comes as anti-ICE protests have intensified in the Windy City. Demonstrators have been clashing with federal agents since last month when U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement launched Operation Blitz, an initiative aimed at targeting criminal illegal immigrants who feds say flocked to Chicago to seek protection under the state's sanctuary policies, and which they announced they were doing in honor of Katie Abraham, a 20-year-old Illinois woman who was killed in a drunk-driving hit-and-run car wreck caused by an illegal immigrant, Julio Kukul Bull. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker has vocally opposed Trump's federal deployment as an abuse of power by the president. "We must now start calling this what it is, Trump's invasion," the governor said in a post on X. "The brave men and women who serve in our National Guards must not be used as political props. This is a moment where every American must speak up and help stop this madness," he wrote. The Democratic governor also claimed that he was kept in the dark about the White House's plan, writing that no officials from the federal government called me directly to discuss or coordinate. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem defended Trump's decision in an appearance on Fox News on Sunday, going as far as to declare Chicago a war zone.
This is a war zone. His city is a war zone, and he's lying so that criminals can go in there and destroy people's lives.
According to the Department of Homeland Security, protesters are using vehicles to attack ICE agents in the Chicago area. On Saturday, officers were conducting a patrol on the city's south side when they were attacked and rammed by vehicles and boxed in by 10 cars, the Department of Homeland Security said. The officers exited their trapped vehicle when a suspect tried to run them over, forcing the officers to fire defensively, according to DHS, which called the incident an evolving situation and noted FBI agents were currently on the scene. The suspect, who is a U.S. citizen, was armed with a semi-automatic weapon, Department spokeswoman Tricia McLaughlin said. The agents were located about 15 miles from an ICE processing center in the Chicago suburb of Broadview, a site that's been a hotbed of civil unrest when the ambush began. More than a dozen protesters have been arrested near the ICE facility since Friday, according to Fox News. Noem has also taken issue with Chicago's treatment of Border Patrol and ICE officers, claiming they were blocked from using public restrooms, and posting a video on Friday showing a clip from Benny Johnson, revealing how she was shamefully denied entry into a Broadview government building.
Can we use the restrooms? No, you cannot. We can't?
Okay, all right, thank you. Interesting. That's what Governor Pritzker says is cooperation.
Pritzker, meanwhile, appeared on CNN, where he painted the situation in the city in a much different light. "My message to Kristi Noem is clear. Get out of Chicago," he wrote in a post linking to the interview.
They raided a building in the middle of the night in South Shore. 130 people that were emptied out of this building. They were going after a few gang members, and instead they broke windows, they broke down doors, they ransacked the place, and there were people that were held, elderly people and children zip-tied. Elderly people held for 3 hours at a time. They are the ones that are making it a war zone. They need to get out of Chicago. If they're not going to focus on the worst of the worst, which is what the president said they were going to do, they need to get the heck out.
President Trump has been threatening a federal crackdown in Chicago for some time. In early September, he released a Truth Social post parroting an infamous line from the film Apocalypse Now. "I love the smell of deportations in the morning," the text on the image read, along with "Shypocalypse Now. Chicago about to find out why it's called the Department of War," the Post declared. In June, he sent National Guard troops and Marines to Los Angeles as protests raged against ICE operations. In August, he declared a crime emergency in Washington, D.C., and deployed National Guard to the nation's capital. He also ordered the deployment of National Guard troops to Portland, Oregon, in a move that was temporarily blocked by a judge late Sunday, who ruled the action unlawful and unconstitutional. The Justice Department has made indications that it will be appealing the ruling, with arguments that the president retains authority under federal law to deploy National Guard forces in cases of domestic unrest.